Okay. Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am not used to speaker meetings. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Ashley Williams. I work for Holland BPW. I'm going to go ahead and lead this presentation. I'll go ahead and introduce a few people in the room. Here's Brian Ritchie. He's the wastewater engineer at Holland BPW. Got Ryan NG. He works for the city of Holland. And then in the back, we have David Kuipers and Doug Hughes. They work for Holland Engineering. They are the engineer and inspector that will be on this project. This is just an overview of what to expect. We'll go over details, and then at the end, we'll answer your questions if you have anything. I see some of you may have already received the water service agreements in the mail. If you've signed them, great. If you haven't, just letting you know that'll be on the way soon. So I'll just go ahead and go through these slides, and yeah. We had a bigger turnout. A lot of people came at the last minute, so. And then there is a sign-out sheet going around, so if you haven't signed it, just wait for it. And then you can hand it to one of us at the end when you're done. So highlighted in the red square on the screen, that's the project premise. Everything in gray are the roads and intersections that will be constructed on. This is just stormwater, water main, and sanitary sewer replacement. So the goals of this project, so we started a first phase. This is now the second phase of the project. In 2023, we completed the first phase, and overall, the water main in the area is 1950s and 1960s cast iron. We noticed a correlation. Post-World War II production went down, so we've noticed a lot of main breaks we've had in this area and just all over Holland in general has been 1950s and 60s cast iron. So there's actually been about 10 main breaks in this area, and about 7 of them have been, there have been 10 main breaks in the last 20 years, and 7 of those have been in the last 10 years. So this area is like a main focus we've had for a bit to get that replaced. And like I said before, there will be water service replacements and then storm sewer replacement. There will be new pavement as well and new ADA sidewalk ramps and other improvements as needed. So to start with the project schedule, we're planning on starting the beginning of April and then into mid-November. We may not go all the way till November. Hopefully we're done way before then. And then for the intersection, there's a couple of intersections at Van Raalte and Ottawa that will be affected. So because of the schools in the area, we're going to postpone construction in those intersections, specifically along Van Raalte, just to avoid school traffic. So we're going to be working mainly off the side roads, and then once school gets out, then we'll go back and finish up those intersections. There will be some periodic water shutoffs. So our contractor on site, he will directly coordinate with you when that will actually happen. They are planning on giving out a 24-hour notice. So, you'll know ahead of time. Usually it's about a 4-hour maximum shutoff period. Usually it's actually 1 to 2 hours, but we like to tell people plan for a 4-hour outage of your water or sewer service. So basically just don't turn on your sink or flush your toilets for about 4 hours. The trash pickup will remain normal. I recommend putting your house number labeled on the trash can and just stick it out the end of the road as needed, or as you typically would on your regular trash days. Our on-site contractor will move that as necessary, depending on where the construction phase is at. So that will remain normal unless otherwise noted. And as well as mail delivery, that will continue to, we will always make sure there's access to your mailbox, so that should not be affected either. Tree removals, we try to avoid tree removals as much as necessary. We do understand with underground water utilities, so there may be some tree removal needed, but if there is anything you would like saved on your property, please let us know. And then we can mark that and we can work with you the best we can to save those trees that you want. I also wanted to mention we do have a home repair program. There are a couple of flyers on that table over there if you're interested. With part of the sanitary replacement, we're focusing on Orangeburg replacements, and that's part of that home improvement. So if you want any more information, those are right over there. So for the sanitary service replacement, like I said before, we're focusing on Orangeburg laterals. Again, like I said with the cast iron, a lot of cast iron in this area was installed in the late 1950s. Orangeburg was also installed at the same time. Fun fact I just learned today, so Orangeburg was originally designed to be impermeable to tree roots. And we found that it's been the complete opposite. Every other material we've used for pipe underground has been more impermeable than Orangeburg. Orangeburg has actually been really bad. A lot of tree roots have been getting into people's services. And it's also a really brittle material, which is why we want to replace it, because it's basically junk. So we are going to replace there's a curb stop. I can go to this next section. So highlighted in the circled area, somewhere within that region, there's a curb box. So we're going to replace from the main up to that curb box. And I do highly recommend, if you do have an Orangeburg service, you would have received this. If not, there is one on the way for you, to coordinate with our plumber that we are going to have on site. Because just to avoid future problems, and if you've already had issues with backing up, it's probably from your Orangeburg service. But we will cover from the main to the curb box. You would be responsible for the payment of the rest of the service connected to your house. So. I think that's about it for what I'm going to cover. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Brian Ritchie, and he's going to cover the next few slides.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Just one more comment on the sanitary service replacement. So this is specifically for Orangeburg material. Again, as Ashley mentioned, it's a very brittle material, so to get ahead of it and avoid emergency repairs as we're installing the water main, what we did in phase one, and it worked out fairly well, is having the contractor go ahead of where the water main replacement is, getting those Orangeburgs replaced with PVC. This will be 6-inch PVC, and that'll be up to the right of way, so basically at the sidewalk near the curb box that Ashley mentioned. So if you did receive one of those letters, or if you are going to receive one of those soon, that means you have Orangeburg, or we have record of that. There's a handful of them out there that we're still not sure what the material is. Excuse me. We have a contractor out there right now you might have seen around that's going and televising these to confirm material. So if we do confirm that there are others out there, you will receive a letter probably the next week or two before construction begins anyway. And again, as I actually mentioned, if you do have issues with your lateral or you want to just take advantage of this opportunity, reaching out to a local plumber to replace the remainder of that between the right-of-way and your house, please coordinate that with us and Doug Hughes, who will be out there as an inspector, just to work with the contractor and making sure we're not stepping on each other's toes and things like that. Water service replacement. So again, this is, and I'm sure most of you are aware of this, a state mandated lead and copper rule where the state is requiring any water service that has been or is still exposed to lead. We have no lead services in the city of Holland, but we have galvanized services. So these galvanized services had lead goosenecks that connected to the water main, or still do. And because of that, if there's any replacement of that service, it is required by the state for us to bring that service at no cost to the homeowner all the way into the house and setting it at a new meter. So if you did receive one of those letters, that is what that is in regards to. The replacement does require a few entries. So getting in and obviously confirming where it is, where it's coming into the house, just to choose the best route as far as how that's to be constructed. So you'll have a few face-to-face interactions with the contractor, specifically the plumber and drilling subcontractor doing the work as well. So just be aware of that. But we do need that agreement signed in hand before we can do any work on your property, because obviously it's private property, so we want to make sure there's an agreement in hand for that. I think that's it for that slide. If it will go. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of just a view of what your service would look like or should look like. So as we mentioned, right of way, you'll typically have your curb stop, your shutoff valve, whatever you want to call it. That's where we would typically just replace that portion in the right of way, right? But if yours is galvanized, we will be replacing it all the way into the home where it comes into your meter. And then just so it's clear, this replacement it doesn't change ownership. So your ownership you'll still own, what's on your property. There will be a 1-year warranty with the replacement. So if something does go wrong within that first year after construction, obviously we'll have the contractor come back out and fix whatever's going on. But beyond that, it still would remain your ownership from the curb box into your house. So another thing to keep in mind too is there'll probably be, more than likely, unless you just had a meter replaced for some reason, a new meter being set up. So they'll be working with our service department to come out and do that. Nothing really changes for you. Again, that's at no cost to you. Just be aware of that. This just kind of gives a aerial view, I guess, of what to expect. So the construction of this will look like water mains installed. You'll have a service that's coming from the main, and what they'll do is bring that main they'll bring the service to the sidewalk. And what we try to do to avoid tearing up yards and messing with your landscaping and all that is actually drill the service into your house. So whether that's through the wall or through the basement floor, this has been a known practice that has worked well. We had great success on phase 1 of this project and other water main replacement projects in the city. So that's what you'll see is a subcontractor out there on the drilling rig actually needing to drill that service, and then what they do is drill the hole for it, and then they pull the service through with it, and it'll be a 1-inch copper service that you'll be getting. Yeah, and again, just to make things go smoother, being available, and obviously we understand, life happens. You have an appointment, you're not able to make it. Just communicate with us. Doug will be good about talking with you, letting know what's going on. But if we do need to enter your home to get this service done, that's greatly appreciated if you're able to make that accessible for us. Sprinkling systems. So if you have irrigation, it would be best for you to place flags where your sprinkler heads are, so that the contractor knows when he's getting into your yard, so he's not ripping it out. They will do their best to avoid breaking any irrigation. Question? When would they replace that?
No, when you got out summer and people steal the flags.
When to place the flags? That's your question?
When do we place?
Yeah, good question. So question was, when do we place the flags in your sprinkler head? So I would say when you see the contractor in the road, you don't need to rush into it yet, but once they start putting in the services, they will be needing to get into the sidewalk and consequently your lawn in that area. So when you see the contractor starting to get into putting services in, which will typically be towards, maybe after a couple weeks after the project is started, you'll start to see that depending where you're at and where we start. So that's when I would say to do it. Now, again, there's no guarantees they're not going to damage something, but if they do, they will replace it. And if you have a landscaping contractor, irrigation contractor that you prefer, let us know. We can see about reimbursing that, or essentially having them invoice us for that work for whatever they do to upgrade or to replace anything that was damaged. So, again, we'll work with you on that. The contractor, again, they'll try to typically just dig down and expose it with a shovel so they can just pull it back. So just know you'll be without irrigation, or at least a zone or two potentially for a period of time. But they'll, again, if you're able to help us by pointing out where those are at, then you're less likely to get hit.
We see a whole bunch of trucks all summer long.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of truck immediately precedes the need to put the flags on?
I would just say when you start to see construction coming in front of your home, when they're starting to lay water main in front of your home, that would probably be the best time to do it. Because they might have the road torn up, but they won't start putting in water main right away potentially, because they'll be going in phases. So as soon as you see them actually working in your street near your house, that would probably be the best time to do it. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. If you do have sump pump connections, those existing connections will be reconnected by the contractor. So that, again, to storm sewer, if for some reason it was connected to sanitary, we'll disconnect it and connect it to storm. But if you're looking to potentially connect a new connection, talk with the contractor, again, as they're approaching, or just, walk over to wherever they're working and ask them about it, and just let them know, hey, I want to bring my sump pump connection out to the storm catch basin over here. Can we do that? And just give them a heads up, and they'll work with you on that. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, talk about streets and storm sewer.
Thanks, Brian. So we'll start with just what's out there currently. Most of the streets in this project have a typical curb and gutter, where you have your curb and gutter, and then you have the road next to it, and then you have the curb and gutter on the other side. It might be hard to see, but on that second cross section from the top, on 28th and 29th Street, we currently have a situation where we have the asphalt overlaid on top of the gutter pan. So in that situation, we're going to be looking to get rid of the curb and gutter and replace that. On the other streets, we're going to try and leave the curb and gutter and just take off the asphalt there. And then this is the proposed. The only real difference is that second one, and it might be hard to see if you're not sitting up at the front up there. And then for sidewalk improvements, on the left, I don't know if this was exactly taken in the Wildwood neighborhood, but we have a lot of sidewalk that is not currently up to the ADA standards, and we'd be looking to improve that and update those with the red ADA plates along with the half domes, just to make those safer. And along with that, there's currently some crosswalks or crossings that will have a landing on one side of the street and then nothing on the other side to kind of receive people who walk across the street there. So we'll be looking to correct that also, so any crossing has somewhere where you can get back up on the other side of the street too. Project contacts. Doug over there is going to be your first point of contact. So say if you don't get your mail or your garbage doesn't get picked up, he's going to be the person that you talk to regarding that. Nate is going to be the BPW water service, right, contact?
Yeah, it'll be our boots on the ground for BPW.
Okay, yep, and then Gordy is going to be the Millbacher contact. There's also going to be a 24-hour emergency contact from Millbacher that, say, middle of the night, your power goes out, your water goes out, something happens, you can call that number and they should be able to help you. And you'll get a postcard with the project that'll have all the numbers so you know who to call. And then me, Ashley, and Brian will be kind of in and out of the project where just depending on what's going on, we might stop by, make sure everything looks good. But other than that, Doug's going to be really the one that's there on a daily basis. And any questions? Yeah. The east side of 30th. Should I go back to the map? Let me flip back. On the east side of Van Raalte and 30th.
They will go through the intersection and all the,
Stop there.
and the curb returns, so the sidewalk ramps are will get replaced, and then the water main will tie in on that side of the intersection. So it'll be in front of probably the house right on the corner of Wentworth, not Main.
And she has as well got a card, so we heard a couple of years ago that they were gonna come down our road and do the same thing. Do you know anything on that? Because,
You're on this side?
yeah, 30th, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so, 30th.
30th, yeah.
Yes, so it was originally planned to do that section. This is actually a different material that tends to hold up better than this cast iron main. So with limited budget, unfortunately, that was one that we cut just because there hasn't been issues with that. Not to say it won't happen again in the future, but yeah, you're correct. That was originally part of the project, but that was because of
She
the
had replaced it from the house to where you guys had.
the service.
Yeah.
Yeah, so services are a different story, right? So, yeah, there's no guarantees there. Probably a galvanized service would be my guess. That's unfortunately
PVC piping
PVC.
from the house to the.
You're talking your lateral?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, and if you did get a postcard, I don't know if you can hear me on the mic. If you were in the surrounding areas, there's potential that you may not be directly affected. We just wanted to make sure that folks that are in the area obviously know what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you actually know what sewer sections you're gonna replace on the lateral? Because mine, I've already replaced it, and it was brilliantly sent right underneath my cement driveway, which I got all tore up and I had to replace it. But I've had it replaced, and I don't want some of the construction to come in and say, well, we gotta see if this needs to be replacement and tear up the new concrete pad there.
Yeah, so you said you just replaced it all the way to the main or just to the sidewalk?
All the way to the main.
Okay, so if you've,
Know it? I mean, there was.
we should have record of that, yeah. So if you did receive a sanitary service agreement letter, you can disregard that, just let us know. But if you didn't, that would mean we have record of that. You probably have PVC. We won't need to touch that. So as we go across that, if it's PVC and it was done recently, that'll hold up just fine. It shouldn't cause any issues. Obviously, we don't want to get into your driveway or tear anything up that we don't need to. I don't know do you know how close it is in relation to your water service? Okay.
Well, at the house they meet.
Yeah. But where they come off the road, they're far enough apart. Okay. Then it shouldn't be affected at all.
Do you guys rip out any trees that I know that are just playing havoc with these lines?
Depending on
I had a maple tree that destroyed my main, and I had a root a good 2 or 3 inches, went all the way up to the house,
okay.
and it was massive.
Really?
Ripped it all the way out. And nice tree, but I'd love it to go away, because I don't want anything to grow.
Okay. Yeah, we could talk about that. I don't know. Have you guys had the arborist out to?
I don't know if we have yet, but
Okay. Question was about tree removal. So that's something we can talk through with the contractor. I don't think David, do we have any planned tree removal? Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you online, the question was about tree removal. So it's not planned for any specific tree removals. David Kuipers, our engineer, was saying it is going to be case by case. So meaning if we need to remove it because it's in the way of a proposed service where we need to replace, then in that case we would be certainly removing the tree.
My
And
neighbor across the street, the guy came over and he did the green line,
yeah.
he went right to a massive tree.
Okay. Okay. We can talk afterwards too. Question?
We were late in coming because the sewer inspector guy was not our guy.
Mm-hmm. So what's being replaced for sewer is only Orangeburg lateral services. So nothing. The sewer main is actually already lined, so we're not going to be doing anything with that. So what's in the road, that's staying put. The only thing we're doing with sanitary is replacing the Orangeburg laterals that are within the right of way, so between the sidewalks. And we're doing that because we're trying to get ahead of those collapsing on us as we cross them with water main and storm sewer replacement on a couple of those streets too. That would not be replaced. If you wanted to do that, that would be at your cost. And again, replacing the portion between the sidewalk and your house, you would want to reach out to a local plumber to get pricing on that. There you go. Okay, so if you have an Orangeburg lateral, this is the material of the sanitary service. Sanitary service. It's what's connecting your sewer from your house to the main in the road. Correct. Yep. So if your material is made of Orangeburg, you should have received a letter, and if you haven't, should be coming soon. As I mentioned, we have the contractor out there now doing video of this to confirm those that we don't have record of. So if you don't have one now or don't get one in the next couple days, you should in the next couple weeks if you have Orangeburg. And we're only replacing these as a precaution to avoid them from collapsing and having to do emergency repair, right? So if you don't have one of those materials, you shouldn't be getting a letter. Status quo. Nothing changes on the sanitary side for you. If you have a galvanized service, you'll also be getting a letter because that's a full replacement going into the house, as I was talking about before. If you don't receive a letter for either of those, that means you either have PVC, clay, or cast iron sanitary service and probably a copper or plastic water service, which means nothing needs to happen on your property at all. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so if the question was as far as discrepancy with your material, so we're only going off of what we get for video, and the contractor that's doing it, that's looking at thousands, hundreds of thousands of these, throughout the year, what their material or what they believe the material to be. It is sometimes hard to tell, but what we're using is their information from the video to determine if it is Orangeburg. Now, again, if we come across it and it's exposed, we can see it. We'll know if it's Orangeburg or clay, and if that's the case, then you would get a replacement. So, hopefully, we'll confirm that with this new video. That's my guess, is that we have yours listed as unknown, so you could be seeing a letter in the next couple weeks to confirm if it is truly Orangeburg. If you do have a video of a plumber that took shot from your house into the main, feel free to send that to us too, and then we can square that up and make sure that's what our record is. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk after this.
Am I correct in gathering from your information thus far that the only thing that's going to be done is the water mains and whatever is needed for the sewage waste? Is that correct? Will there not be any storm sewer work?
There will be some storm sewer work on 28th and 29th.
29th.
Those are the only two.
As well, yeah. And then we're also going to have our drain crew going throughout, just taking video of the storm. And if they see a problem, like if they see some storm that's super cracked or anything, we'll want to get that out and replace that while we have the road torn up too. But other than that, there's nothing else planned besides 28th, 29th, and then that section of Fairhill Court.
My home is on the elbow of 30th Street and Harrison. And actually, there is a connection that when we replaced our waste sewer some years ago, it went straight to the manhole cover between our house and the next house. So something there between us and the street behind us is the way, there's a right of way where storm sewer goes. I wondered if that was going to be enlarged to match what has been enlarged downstream at 29th and 28th just last year.
You're talking storm sewer? Mm-hmm. Do you know where he's talking? Do you guys have some?
There's a section of cross-country storm sewer that goes up to Wildwood.
Yeah.
The first phase intercepted at Wildwood.
Yep, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
No planned work on that section.
Well, if there are flags placed there by somebody, mark that route.
Those are probably just locating flags. So when they call a mistake ticket in, they locate everything, so they know where everything is. Yeah.
But there is no plan to work in that easement between the curb on Harrison and 30th and the curb on Wildwood.
Yep. You. I know you've been waiting.
How far into the property are you going for marking sprinklers? Assuming that tree lawn is done right away.
Yeah, so question was how far in the property for smart and sprinkler heads. I would say if you're having a sanitary lateral replaced or a galvanized service replaced, better safe than sorry to go as far close to your house as you can. If you're not, then really just at the sidewalk, or those first heads kind of closest to the road into the sidewalk should be enough. What about what? Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. Yeah. Yep.
You talked about a sanitary service agreement letter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have, or if I didn't catch it, or.
Yeah, so if you don't have an Orangeburg material of your sanitary service lateral, then you shouldn't be receiving one. And again,
Can I double check that?
double check to see if you have that material.
Correct.
Yeah, if you want to meet with us after, give us your address. We can check and see what our records are and let you know. Yep. I was gonna say it may not. We just sent them out. I think Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Assuming we have this Orangeburg problem, is there a timing issue with our plumber replacing it and your crew working on the road? Should we
Yeah.
coordinate or
Yeah. No. Good.
how will we know how to do that?
Yeah. Good question. So the question was about coordinating with the sanitary service replacement. So if I would say, based on what we did in phase one, we had a handful that took that replacement all the way into their house. It's probably best to take from what they replaced. So after they've connected to your existing, ideally, roughly at the same time, so that if there's issues with fall or anything like that, they can make that adjustment. So I would say when they're starting to do those replacements in the right of way, I would get ahead of it, reach out to a plumber to get a quote on what that would take to replace it from the sidewalk to into your house, and coordinating that plumber coordinating with our contractor to time that up so that they're doing it essentially simultaneously. It doesn't have to happen that way. We did several of them before in phase one that were just the contractor made the connection at a later date. Their plumber came back and ran it the rest of the way. So if that happens, it still works out just fine.
So the freshwater piping from the road into the house is going to be copper?
Correct.
Is this a larger copper?
So the new water services will all be 1-inch copper. Depends on what you have. You might have 1 inch already. Some of them are 5/8 or 3/4.
Is it a quality copper?
It is.
I mean, American made?
Yes.
I come from another state that my whole neighborhood, they started springing these little holes and found out the whole neighborhood had Chinese copper pipe and it was a thin wall.
No, it will not be Chinese copper. It is. It's technically called K copper. It's a good material. Yes.
2 months ago, you said you have black barbecue flags on the way to the house. But if you don't know what you got, how do you know whether you
Yeah. So just do what you can as far as marking your irrigation heads. If I would say the most important ones are near the road and the sidewalk, where they'll be getting into with service replacements.
what are they replacing? What is the city replacing all the way to the house?
The only thing that would be replaced all the way to your house is if you have a galvanized service, and them drilling in a new service for you. So if you got one of those water service agreement letters, or if you do get one of those, that means that would be the case for you. Or if you decided to replace the remainder of your sanitary service lateral. And I guess I should preface this too. If you don't have Orangeburg and you still want to replace your lateral and take advantage of the contractor or plumber that is out there, you're by all means more than welcome to do that as well. Just so that you're saving some costs by not having to pay for getting into the road. If you're having to cross the street to get into the sanitary main, that would be still a good time to do it as well. Any other questions?
So there's two sidewalks that come off the Cleveland and they don't go anywhere, they just go into the road. Are you gonna do both of those in my yard?
David, do you know what he's talking about?
Yes. Right here? Yep, both those sidewalks just head straight north, and then they end right there.
I think if I recall correctly, the plan is going to be east of
I think, are we getting rid of ones that go just right into the driveway? You know what I'm talking about? Some of those ramps.
I have a fire hydrant right there too. My concern is, after a long day of boating, I don't wanna try to back the boat next to my house, so I park at the road overnight. And if you guys move that fire hydrant anywhere, I won't be able to park my boat from my own house. sidewalk that's gonna screw me all the worst. What's your address? 395 Wildwood?
Yeah, let's take a look at this after we can make a note for hydrant placement. Yeah, that's an easy fix. Question.
I'm curious, is there ever discussion about putting electrical underground when you tear all this stuff up? We moved from an area that had all underground electrical service, and it was really nice and convenient. I'm wondering if Holland ever discusses that.
Yes, we do. So it's not my area of expertise, but I do know BPW Power is trying to underground as much as they can. I believe some of it is underground in the neighborhood, but not all of it. I'd have to talk with them. I know they're working their way through the city and undergrounding what they can. Yes, they are going in that direction for sure. Well, so the problem is it's not just power on it, and there's other things, and again, like I said, not my area of expertise, but I know it's something they're working towards for sure.
We have an issue at the end of our driveway is storm drain, where the gutter pan has sank a little bit, so when the heavy rains, are they replacing the approaches to the driveways?
It depends on what street you're on. So the plan on Wildwood is so for any typical water main replacement project, what we'll do is replace obviously a full reconstruct of the side where the water main is at, and then what we call a mill and fill, just resurfacing on the other side. So when we do that, we're not changing the elevation of the road, so we don't typically get into driveways or curb or anything. We only do that as needed. Now, if you're having a storm issue, though, that's something we could look at. Okay, yeah, and that's something we can fix with a resurfacing project, or depending on which side you're on, reconstruct. Yeah. So when we get to that phase, let us know. We can make sure that doesn't create any more issues for you. Yep.
So my
Just a-
understanding is that the copper line from the source of the road to your house, the city is putting that in, is that correct? If you have galvanized pipe.
Correct.
You're gonna replace it from the road to the house, hook it up to the meter.
Correct.
And as far as the sewer goes, now we have the Orangeburg piping. How far do you go on that? Is that
Yes.
to the far side of the sidewalk?
That's well, yeah. So your house side of the sidewalk, basically that 1 foot beyond that is typically where the right of way line is. Yep.
I know I've got Orangeburg, I checked already, and what your records show.
Yeah.
There's nothing been done.
In one other comment on that, the question was how far is it going as far as the water service and sanitary lateral. Galvanized services, full replacement into the house with copper from the main into the house. If you have copper already, we'll just reconnect to your existing copper at the curb box or PEX or HTB.
If I replace the sewer line at the same time,
Yeah,
then basically the plumber has got to take that lateral from the house to the near side of the sidewalk
correct.
in that area there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, okay, and one other question, when you do hook up the copper line to the house, do you have to dig a hole underneath there? Is that part of the deal? You're just outside the house, so you can get down that deep and get the line through there?
No, so like I said, they'll actually drill it into your basement floor or wall where the service comes in. Yes. Yep. Now I will say there are some case by case scenarios where it's just too tight and too much to try to drill around, and it's right next to a gas service or something. Obviously we don't want to mess with that. So they're case by case scenario where they may have to do a small excavation to be able to bring it in, but more than likely they'll be able to drill right into your house. Yep. Yes, I believe is that how we did it on phase 1, Doug? Pull the old one? Yes. So the old one, if you have a galvanized, will be cut and capped. Unless we have to run in that same spot, then we'll pull the old and pull the new one in. Yep.
Are you replacing
28th and 29th, where we're doing a full reconstruct. The rest of it is just as needed. And I'm pretty sure all the ramps, though. Any ramps at all these intersections.
So as needed, if there's any broken, the tree is popping it up, or it's just cracked or bad or ugly?
Yeah, you guys will probably take a look at it, and City Transportation will look at it ahead of the project to say, hey, let's go replace this, and this.
Maple Street has a sidewalk like this.
Okay, yeah, we can look at that. 29th, the east side of Van Raalte. Yep. Go ahead.
When, a year or two ago, when they marked the first sewer cameras, they marked an X at the end of the middle of our driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another X 10 feet further toward the house. It was a straight line, the X, and the other X went right under our front porch. It would be about where the water meter is.
Okay.
Does that mean they'd have to dump his driveway from the front porch, put in the new water line?
So potentially, but if you have a galvanized service and you're getting one all the way into your house, they'd probably look for a different route to be able to bring it in, from a different angle potentially. But that's, again, that we leave those decisions up to the drilling contractor that does that professionally. They'll let us know, what they think they can do. But if we have to do that, whatever does need to be replaced would obviously be at no cost to you. If it's your driveway or when they're scoping out, services, when they get the water main in and they start bringing services in, they'll have the contractor, Millbacher will have their drilling contractor, which I believe is Gustafson, come out to look at it and see, okay, what makes sense here with this one. And, at that point we would consult with you, the homeowner, to decide what's the best route. Yep.
One more fun one.
Yeah.
I have a 26-foot camper. I don't wanna drag it in and out of the sandbox. Is there something you could do that gravel road, more gravel than sandbox?
Yeah, we'll do the best we can. I mean, it is mostly sand in your neighborhood. When it gets dry, the contractor will do what they can, use lime if they have to, water the street, to make sure we're not kicking up dust. Well, when they're bringing the water main by, obviously there's only so much they can do there, right? But as they backfill, they'll put what we call maintenance gravel down, so that you guys are able to get in and out, still driving on a gravel road, not trying to drive in, on a beach. So as of right now, they're shooting for the first full week of April, which I believe would be the 7th. Spring break for most of us. So.
You know where you're gonna start? You're gonna go north and come south, or?
I'm not sure. We're going to talk with a contractor about that in a couple weeks here to see what their plan is. But we do know they're going to be outside of those major intersections until after school's out. So you won't see any disruption, on the north-south streets, Ottawa and Ben Raalte mainly, in Washington, until after school is out. Yep.
Might be a bad question. We have a well for sprinkling, that's separate from city water.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like, if they're gonna replace our water, is that empty marked, or is that?
Is it in the front of your house or? Okay. As long as it's not, they'll be able to tell where a well is. So as long as it's located for if they have to drill in a new service, outside of that, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. And if you see the contractor out there that's getting ready to drill your service, well, and you'll know ahead of time before they're doing that, you can just let them know, hey, there's a well over here, and they'll make sure they're staying far enough away. Yeah.
So I have Orangeburg and galvanized, and it's gonna replace it all the way up to the
Okay.
Is there any way they can do the copper pipe manually with the sewer? They're gonna be in the same area rather than trying to missile it in there and come off a foot or two off and then mess up my basement?
They could. That's something you can talk with the contractor about. If you have that would be a timing thing, right? So because when they're out there doing drilling in these new services, they're bang, bang, bang. So they're kind of trying to get in and out. If that's something we can coordinate with whoever your plumbing contractor is doing the sanitary service. What's that? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure we could work something out. And that would assume that your sanitary lateral and water service are already pretty close to each other. Okay. Then yeah, that should be doable. Did you have another question? Okay. Yeah, and yes. So if you received mainly the water service letter, if you did receive that, then yes, plan on one of us here or the contractor contacting you throughout the project, probably a handful of times, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Time-wise, when they're right in front of our house,
Yeah.
how much time will it take?
So
They got a ways they can't walk very far, just
yeah. So question is, how long for construction coming by your house? It depends on how much they're doing at that spot. You said you're on Wildwood, so that's mainly just water main replacement. They'll pass your driveway in a matter of 30 minutes and then backfill it. So I'd say an hour or so. So, and when they're passing your driveway and, you need in or out, they'll come and let you know, hey, or Doug will, hey, we're just going to be in front of you for a little bit. If you need to move a car out, now would be the time to do it, that sort of thing. And they'll work with you.
I've got like 3 manhole covers right over in my driveway.
Are they sanitary or storm, do you know?
Used to have 4, and took 1 out a few years ago.
Okay. We're not doing anything with the sanitary. I should say that we are abandoning a few manholes, so we could be abandoning it. Yeah. Yeah. We are abandoning a few that were lined through when we lined the sewer. Yeah. No more manholes, no. We're abandoning those that we don't need anymore, so yeah. All right. Ashley had some questions from online.
I'll go ahead and read these off. JG Steven asked, how does this project compare in scope to the work that was done on 28th Street in 2023? The noise from that project was very disruptive to spending time outside in the summer.
It's a bigger footprint, to be completely honest. So it's hard to say. It's going to be comparable, and they'll do the best they can to limit distractions. But it is a construction project, so I can't promise they're going to be quiet. But they do have requirements that they can only work. I think it's 7 to 7 and no Sundays. So they'll give you peace on your days of rest, right? So.
The second question was, and will the slides from today be posted online so we can get a copy for future reference?
Yeah, so I think that was your last slide, right, Ashley?
Yeah.
This presentation will remain on.
It's on the Holland, City of Holland website.
Is it on your website? Yeah, so it's on the City of Holland website. If you go to their YouTube channel, it'll be posted on there, and I think will be up for at least a couple weeks. Any other ones? Anybody else have any other questions?
Looking at the map, and the streets that are darkened, are those the ones you're doing? Because I'm on 31st Street.
Yes, those shaded streets are the ones being done. Yep. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you for coming out, and we will see you out there in about a month here. So, and again, I guess I should have mentioned this too, for the sanitary service replacements, if you do qualify for the home repair program, there is a flyer over there for more information. I have a card over there as well with my contact info, and You'll be seeing a lot of this man out there. His name is Doug Hughes. He's our inspector. So he's great. He was on the first phase, so he knows this area very well. Thank you.